Everyone, welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to meet Stephen and learn a lot more about your life, and welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me, Bob.
First, how long have you been on the road?
Left Florida, it'll be 10 years this October.
Wow, that's an old timer.
I guess.
And you're a young guy.
I'm a young guy, right.
And also, you are an artist. Art is very important to you.
Yes.
And so a lot of folks probably wonder, can you combine the two, being on the road with art? So how's that worked for you?
The art is one of the things that I missed most about my previous life, we'll call it. But to supplement that, I always carry one art project with me, a bigger scale, bigger involvement, but smaller scale project that I can take in the van with me. And when I have some spare time, I'll start and I'll tinker and I'll try and get my little art project done. And if I finish that in the year, I'll collect parts while I'm traveling and start building another one. You have to maybe change what you were doing. If you were making big giant paintings, well, maybe now you're making postcards, but you can still get your creative energy out. I have to get my creative energy out or I start going a little stir crazy in a job.
You're a handyman, so I imagine that, and well, I know because I've been inside it, you got a fantastic van.
Fantastic van. Handyman and an artist, so both of those things come through real strong in this van.
They really do. So let's check it out.
So before we go inside, I'm just going to introduce you. This is Velma Vanship is her name. She's a 2005 Chevy Express 3500. So we'll start in the front. Up front here is where I keep my tools, my stuff that makes me money most actively. Mostly my solar install stuff and my handyman work. The seat rarely has a passenger.
Right.
I did weld in a turnaround where I can turn that seat around.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I usually only do that when I'm parked for a little bit longer.
Right.
Here I'm moving every day. It's a little more, I don't know. I don't use it when it's turned around unless I'm sitting. But now for the fun half.
Yes. Boy, it's just really, really beautiful. So tell us about the wood you've done in here.
Okay, so everything in here was made from pretty much reclaimed materials. I bought 1 sheet of plywood for the floor, 2 sheets of Luan for the ceiling, and everything else I simply refinished to make it work. The countertop was originally blonde. I didn't like that, so I stained it mahogany and refinished it. I wanted the dark look. As a steampunk artist, I wanted my aesthetic to be brown and brass, and you'll see all my details are just that, brown and brass.
Right, everywhere.
The way that it was all done is I needed to take advantage of every 1/4 inch of space in this van. I'm 6'2". This is a low height, regular wheelbase van. So I needed every inch to work for me.
A lot of it is you working out of the van.
Correct.
So you've got a lot more tools than the average person.
I'm working out of the van. So one of the priorities for me is when I first built out a rig, I did a minivan. I had little RV cushions. I slept in it for a weekend and my shoulder hurt. I'm like, this isn't gonna work. Number one for me is a full thickness mattress.
Yes.
So that I can actually get a restful night's sleep and I can wake up and be effective at work the next day.
Right.
No reason to be uncomfortable just because I sleep in a van. I sleep super comfortable in this van. I hang out super comfortable in this van. It's my little cabin in the wherever. In the woods, by the ocean, by the lake. It's my cabin.
In the desert.
In the desert right now. This little table was actually just to keep my tackle boxes from falling out.
So you're a fisherman?
I'm a fisherman. One of my goals has always been to catch every fish in America.
Oh my, that's a goal.
So that gives me a reason to travel around and go fishing in different states.
Right.
Last year I caught a sturgeon. So important things. When I sit in the van on the chair, I need to be sure that I'm sitting up straight and I have just enough room for me to sit up straight and not feel the ceiling on my head. That way I'm not like this. You've probably noticed the ceiling.
Yeah, it's distinctive.
Distinctive. Everything I've done myself, I spray painted that ceiling. I needed a little more headroom, so I thought some clouds would give me a little more space. And actually the other day, the clouds outside matched the clouds inside.
Yeah.
And it was really, really cool. I have curtains that allow me to separate the front from the back. And my refrigerator lives in the middle right there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little 12-volt fridge and freezer, which was an upgrade this year. And it's been trying to eat healthier. The fridge and freezer have made a big difference in allowing me to keep some fresh produce and some frozen items that are quick to heat up as well. In the van here, I like to use these baskets for readily accessible items. The kitchen items that I use, there's just one fork, one spoon, one knife, my spatulas. This is just the stuff that I use almost every day. I do have a kitchen drawer that houses, my cutting board and the rest of the kitchen accoutrements. For me, building a van, one of the important things was everything needs to be usable right away. If I have to disassemble something and put something together, I'm probably just gonna have granola bars for dinner that night. So if I can't just come in here and have my stove ready to go.
Wow, that is a nice stove, built in.
Yep, everything's built in, nothing converts. And as an artist, I just do lots of little decorations, kind of things to keep me entertained. It does have running water, and it's plumbed into a gray tank.
Mm-hmm.
I can show you a little peek of what's going on here, but there'll be a better angle later. You can't really see, but that's where my charge controller is. My batteries are down there, some basic kitchen stuff. The other side is my water tanks.
Fresh and gray?
Both fresh. The gray's in another spot.
Mm-hmm. And the cabinet, where did you get it?
Just the cabinet faces were rescued from like a Habitat for Humanity restore.
Mm-hmm.
And I built all the scabs myself.
Right.
Everything from the back is actually built out of 1x3s and pocket screws is the majority of this build. There's one more drawer, which is just the kitchen drawer here that houses the big pot.
That is really nice.
I worked really hard on using every quarter inch of space in this guy. Before I built things, I would make sure that I had my water tanks and my batteries already, and then I built the cabinets to fit them specifically. And I try to use products that would be easily replaceable. These are just more drawers. So down below is my pantry. This is pretty much all food. This is where I have access to my propane tank, so I can shut the valve off and on from inside of the van. Lots of counter space. As a tinkerer, I like to be able to give you a sneak peek, take my little art projects that I'm working on.
Look at that.
And I'll show you the secret spot.
Oh my.
And have a spot to work on whatever I'm crafting on that week. So this is the one that I'm crafting on now.
that is extremely creative.
Yeah, this was kind of, as I built it, I was like, oh, there's some space behind that I'm not using, which became my desk drawer storage. Mm-hmm. In here, things that I keep, the top one is kind of like craft supplies and electronics, and this one's usually like my computer, and my work shirts are in there now because it's easy access. In the steampunk community, we like to dress up a lot, and some of those items of clothing don't do so well if you stuff them in. And so I needed a vertical closet that I can keep all of my clothes in. Mm-hmm. And I can keep, I keep dry cleaning, coats, winter stuff, long sleeve, t-shirts, pants. This van was originally a passenger van. It was actually owned by a family of, I think they were like a family of 7. They were a military family. They bought this van from a charter company after 1 year, and they owned it until I bought it from them. They were stationed in Great Britain and took this van over with them. This van has been to France and Germany and Great Britain and all over Europe. So when I encountered them, they're like, this is a well-traveled van. I'm like, well, it will continue to be a well-traveled van, and it's the right one. She's got the right pedigree.
Yeah.
But saying that, she was a passenger van, 3 rows of seats, front and rear ACs. When I was doing the build out, I couldn't take out the rear AC. I ran out of time. So I just plumbed it in. So when I'm driving, before I get to my campsite, I can pre-cool or preheat the living area from the AC that runs on the engine. And then just me trying to use every bit of space. I keep my scarves and hats up top in this little shelf. I use I try to reuse whatever I can. I use the actual lights that came in the van and just rewired them.
So how much solar do you have?
Not enough.
Never enough.
Not enough. I have 170 watts on the roof right now. It's designed for 300 watts on the roof. By the end of the season, I'm going to change out the 70-watt panel to a 200-watt panel and get what it actually needs.
Right.
It was fine when I ran the smaller fridge, but when I got the bigger fridge freezer in the summer, it works too hard. I don't make it all the way back up. Keep my hiking hat, my fishing rods, my little library. I do have the window perf on it, the perforated window film.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does for us is during the day, nobody can see what's going on in here. Nobody knows that this thing is a little cabin on wheels. Bathroom is actually right by your feet here, Bob. The #1 Bob Wells bucket system.
Right. No, nothing.
Nothing fancy.
Yeah, it works.
It works. And honestly, my favorite method is a shovel, of course. But sometimes you're urban and you can't dig a hole through asphalt.
Right.
I like cooking in the cast iron. So when I travel, I just pull these off the stove. But one of my favorite things about cast iron is you can just kind of cook on it, wipe it out, keep going. I try to not waste water.
Right.
So people always go, "Oh my God, cast iron, it's so heavy." I'm like, yeah, but water's heavy.
Right. You're not.
And I'm not wasting it
Yeah.
quite as much. Under here, I keep my blackouts for when I do beet harvest. And then under here is my tool storage.
Oh, yeah.
If you pay attention, these are actually pallets.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Recycled.
Recycled.
That's your thing.
That
should be all of our
everything.
things.
So this was built specifically in conjunction with the head height situation. And this toolbox is my mechanic's toolbox. So this guy's probably 120 pounds worth of wrenches and sockets and all that. But this van's got almost 250,000 miles. These must come with me. As a handyman, I have to have tools. My tools are my earnings. Without tools, I'm still useful, but I'm much more useful with tools.
Yeah.
So these front doors, the same damask pattern that I have on my curtains, I actually hand cut a stencil for these and spray painted them myself. The reason was when I built the van, wood was an absurd amount of money. I keep my chair, my favorite shovel, better than the bucket, a little grease board, a little table, and I keep a large 2x4 folding table so I can do my art stuff outside where I prefer to be. I added this AC unit this year because I went to Burning Man and it's ungodly hot out there, but I did have access to power. So this is a shore power only kind of AC unit. So some hiking essentials for springtime. I do have a little shore power connection. It just runs an outlet inside and it runs a battery charger to charge my batteries.
So this is one of those rare Chevys with doors on both sides.
Yeah, when the couple showed up to show me the van, I had never seen a van that wasn't a minivan with doors on both sides.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then I started to build it and I'm like, oh, this is super advantageous.
It really is.
Because now I can get at all my stuff,
right,
all of my necessities without having to pull things out of the drawers, without having to access anything. And what I keep back here is, I call this public works. Have the diesel heater tank, keep my propane tank. Lives there, fall down. This is the vent pipe for my diesel heater. He lives down in here in the footwell. My 2 5-gallon waters. From the sink over here, there's just some cleaning supplies. It's plumbed into this tank, which I can quick connect, remove, and dump. And back here, there's my 2 big batteries and a bunch of wires. Nice device is the Smart Shunt. The modern technology is really good at telling us how much power is left in my batteries, how much I've used. I use this thing many times a day. It just has an app that goes to your phone that tells you the state of charge of your batteries at any time.
Is that Victron?
That is a Victron. It's a Victron Smart Shunt. They're only like $150, but I highly recommend them no matter what solar system you have. The van also charges from the alternator when I'm driving, solar when I'm in the sun, and through this little battery charger when I'm parked. So I have 3 ways to charge my batteries.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for sharing your home with us, your work and your career and everything. It's just, you know, you can tell someone's been on the road for 10 years. You got lots of solutions and creativity
Thank you.
that the average person doesn't have, and beauty.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to share my home. I often say that this is my biggest sculpture to date
Yeah,
because although it's functional, I put care and love into everything that I do. And I hope that that shines through in what I've shown you here.
bright and clear. It's really obvious. Why don't you tell people how they can get hold of you?
Sure. Well, the easiest way to get hold of me is through social media. My van life page is Fantasy Express. That's fantasy with a V. And that's really the easiest way to get a hold of me.
Okay, so if you're looking for solar work, be sure and give Stephen a call. Well, thank you, Stephen. I really appreciate it. Folks, if you've been inspired, and I know you have, like us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, hit that thumbs up button, and we'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.